Last year, I was reading Brian Weiss books on past life regression, and I was like, this seems fun, let me try. So I found one of his hypnosis meditation on YouTube, and I tried it. Nothing happens. But a few days later, when I was doing my normal daily meditation, I started seeing some images of my past life, and they were rather vivid. Everything felt so real. I was a witch and I was burned alive, and things that I have question mark with in my current life started making sense. In this video, I will share my experience of past life regression and what I learned from it. Before I begin, let me first say that what I saw was fragment of images and incidents. It wasn't a linear sequence of events. What I'll be sharing will sound very linear though, because I organized what I saw into a story. Also, don't ask me what I'm wearing or describe the scene in details to you because I don't remember. When I came out of the meditation, what I wrote down was the big picture of what I saw. I was more interested in the insight I received from the meditation than the specific details of the clothing, the surrounding, or the era I was in. And because that wasn't what I jotted down immediately, when I came out of meditation, I have forgotten about it. And if I were to tell exactly what I saw now, it would be just me creating the memories in my mind. So I'm not going to do that. But one thing for sure, I'm definitely not this face wearing a black witch costume. Okay, so here's my story. In one of my past lives, I was an intuitive psychic witch, and I was married to a stoic, strong warrior. We were married and deeply in love with each other despite our differences. However, one day we had an argument. I had an intuitive impulse and I didn't feel safe staying in the house we were living in. I felt some men were coming here to get me and I wanted to leave ASAP. But my husband dismissed it and said that it would be okay. He promised that he would protect me. He would build a fortress around our house so that no one would be able to harm me. My warrior husband was very confident about his strength and ability, and I reluctantly agreed to stay. As much as I wanted to leave, I didn't want to abandon my husband and leave him on his own. I didn't want him to feel as though I don't trust him. Later that day, my warrior husband went out to gather materials to build the fortress, and not long after he left, a bunch of men, witch hunters, came and took me away. I have this vivid scene where I kept calling my husband for help, but he never came to rescue me. When my husband returned, he thought that I had left without him. He felt really betrayed and abandoned, and I could see and feel his anger and sadness. Even though technically I should be dead and not physically there to witness the pain, but that's what I saw. I also saw that years later, he found out that I was actually burned alive by his fellow warriors that he trusted so much, and he was filled with guilt. He felt very sorry for wronging me, and he died shortly after. You know how some people say that souls often come back in this lifetime, together as a group to help each other? I definitely believe that because the war husband that I had just shared was one of my closest friends in this current life. When I first met him in 2019, I really felt a special connection with him, and I didn't understand why at that time. We are so different in terms of interests. I would like music like pop and ballad. He would like rock and metal music. I love to sing and dance. He loves sports and martial arts. Even when it comes to spirituality, we gravitate towards different teachers and books. In a normal world where people form groups according to their interests, we probably won't meet and become friends, but we did. We came together and helped each other to heal our past. I remember the third time when we met, he was feeling guilty and apologetic towards me. And I was like, why? It does not make any sense. So what happened in our previous meeting is, he asked me how we block ourselves from receiving love. I didn't have an answer then, but I went back home and slept. I woke up in the middle of the night with images of me as a 2-year-old wanting to be hugged and carried by my parents, but they didn't want to. And that made me feel like my parents didn't love me and it blocked me from receiving love. It was a great insight, and I shared with him and the group in our next meeting. But instead of feeling that he has helped me, he felt guilty for asking the question. At the end of the gathering, he gave me a long hug and said he was sorry. I was like, huh? Even another person was like, why are you feeling so guilty? You just helped him to gain insight on his life. Now I know why. It was the same guilt that he felt when he failed to protect me in the past life. And what's funny is when he first hugged me, I felt really at home. It was a very familiar energy that I never felt before. And now I know why. Because we used to be a couple in the past life. At this point of the video, you might be wondering, how did I know the warrior husband is my friend? It's all energy. It's the same energy that I felt when I hugged him. And maybe because I'm an empath, so I'm very sensitive to these nuances. But it was just intuitive knowing. I didn't need to see him in a warrior costume to know that it's him. Just that I didn't need to see me in a witch costume to know that it's me. I know it through the energy that I felt. If you're interested in trying past life regression too, try and see if any of the people in your past life have the same kind of vibe as people in your current life. Maybe it's your family members, maybe it's a friend who you have a special connection with. When we do things like past life regression or hypnosis, it's important to not use the information we gather as a hindrance or an excuse to our current life. It's not like I was burned by men in my past life, so in this lifetime I'm gonna hate men and not trust them. I also don't blame my warrior husband for persuading me to stay. I know he has good intention. And the past is in the past. What's more important is the now. We didn't come into this lifetime to go and fix our past. The purpose of past life regression is to see what we can learn and draw from our past and how we can bring it to our current life. The main thing I learned from my experience is to always trust my intuition. Don't forsake your intuition to try and please others. This is like a recurring theme for me in my life. Pleasing others doesn't do me any good. It also doesn't do others any good. What I see in my past life meditation shares a lot of resemblance with my current life. My friend and I sometimes just butt-headed with each other. He's very logical, I'm very intuitive, and sometimes we have different opinions of things. I love my friend dearly, but when he's nitpicky, too confident of his opinion, and thinks that he's right, it irritates the hell out of me. He couldn't see that other people might have a different opinion or a different approach to doing things, and I find it hard to get my intuitive message across because it wasn't logical to him. But I learned to allow him to have his opinion and at the same time stand my ground. I don't need to convince him and get into a debate with him. He probably enjoys it more than I do. I don't enjoy debates. Sometimes we just have to go our separate ways. I go where I resonate intuitively and he go where he believes is the best path for him. This whole past life regression thing also makes me more committed to my decision. Way back in 2019, I felt a shift in terms of the energy. I didn't resonate with the direction of where his community is going, so I wanted to leave. But then my people-pleasing tendency kicks in. I wanted to stay, I didn't want to hurt his feeling, and I did this flip-flopping thing for 3 years. Even when I left his group from WhatsApp, I still felt a sense of guilt. And doing this past life regression helped me to release the guilty feeling. I would rather follow my intuition and leave than getting burned alive. And it's not like I'm right and he's wrong. In my past life, I could leave the home and yet still end up being burned, right? But at least I'll feel better when I follow my own intuitive guidance. We came together to learn something from each other, and we did. And once the purpose is served, it might be best for us to go our separate ways. Like for example, before knowing him, my heart chakra was pretty blocked. But now I know I can love someone despite not sharing the same opinion and not taking the same path. I started learning how to love someone unconditionally after I met him. And I'm going to take this with me for the rest of my journey. For people who want to try past life regression, I would say be mentally prepared to experience intense emotion. Are you open to experiencing your death or trauma again, or the death of your loved one? But it's not always so heavy. You might remember wonderful experiences too. You want to ask yourself, what is your intention? Are you looking for a certain healing? Do you really want to know your past? Why do you want to know your past? Just be ready and open to accept whatever that you receive before you sign up for past life regression therapy. The two most intense scenes I had in the past life regression, one is the calling for help and no one come to save me. I can feel the tears, I can feel the helplessness, like being pulled away from your home, from your safety. The second one is the rage when I was being burned alive. I've always been wondering why I have this rage since I was a kid. I don't have abusive parents. I didn't watch violent movie or TV program when I was a kid, or at least not that much. I thought maybe because I was bullied once in school, but the rage seems to happen before I was bullied, so I don't know. But then I had this past life regression, and suddenly, everything makes sense now. The rage I felt in the meditation feels the same as the one I felt as a kid, when I felt like I was pushed into a corner or provoked. This incredible hawk, which I call, would come out, and as a kid, I was very scared of this destructive energy. I didn't know how to handle it, so I kind of suppressed it and don't put myself in a situation where I feel like I was being oppressed. Now with this new understanding, I can make peace with this energy. And also a huge part of my life, my throat chakra was blocked. I don't feel like I could express what I know intuitively because I feel like I will be judged. But learning how I was silent in the past helped me understand that my rage is a result of not being able to express myself fully and not being able to be myself. That's why this lifetime I have such a strong desire for self-expression and being authentic. And you know what? I did English literature when I was a student, and one text that I particularly find interesting is The Crucible. It was set during the Salem witch trial, and in the story, innocent people are accused of witchcraft. In this lifetime though, I'm not particularly interested in witchcraft or casting spell on others. I am intuitive and I know that since very young, but I'm not that curious about magic or the supernatural. Maybe I wasn't a witch after all. Maybe I was just wrongly accused of being a witch. Who knows? I'm not a witch this lifetime, so don't you worry. I'm not gonna cast a spell on you. But if you want more insight on your life and spirituality and reconnect with your intuition and your spiritual self, be sure to subscribe to my channel over here.